Welcome, Jan Schumacher from Germany, our special guest this week, and my dear friend. So I'm happy that you are here. You enjoy Ankara?
Oh, very much. Thank you so much. It's a big pleasure that I can be here again. I tried to remember how many times I came to Turkey, and
a lot of times.
It was quite some times, yes. And it's always so fantastic to be here. So thank you. I want to give back this nice compliment you made to me. Thank you that I can be here.
And I can tell you on behalf of Turkish State Choir, we enjoy working with you on this special program. And we have this concert that is called The Bright Night. So would you tell us about the program a little bit?
Yes. Well, I met the Turkish State Choir 2 years ago, actually, in the master class. And there is a different setting because the choir and me work together with students. And this time for me, it's the first time to meet the choir as the, let's say, real conductor. So I was thinking about a good program, and thanks to you, I mean, we managed together to put this together. And I think The Bright Night is the main topic, but all the songs somehow are connected to love, which is quite typical for the romantic area. Love in very different ways, you know, love to God, love to nature, love to the night, love to other persons also, love to life. So everything is kind going around of this main topic. And we made a selection of music by Johannes Brahms, Franz Schubert, also Gabriel Fauré, and a very special composition by a Turkish composer, which I'm very happy about. So I think this total picture of the program is very interesting as well for the audience, but also for the choir and myself to work on.
Yeah, and it's an interesting program because there is a variety of stories of love and different ways of telling the story.
Yes, I think so.
So, I mean, maybe since all of this romantic music is under your expertise, but especially I would like to ask about Brahms and Schubert pieces.
Yes.
And especially about the Schubert male choir pieces.
Yes.
Which is not only your expertise, but also your heart lies in a male choir, I think, because of your background. So what would you tell, maybe starting with Brahms and go to Schubert?
The music of Brahms that we perform is very interesting because it is originally written for soloists. So Brahms thought about solo voices when he composed that. But it has been very common to perform it also with bigger groups. Now the great thing is that, of course, in this professional choir, the Turkish State Choir, everyone there is a soloist. Everyone could sing this alone. Yep. And the beautiful challenge is to bring together the solo colors in the different voices to make a unison out of every register. But of course, in the end, also to bring it together. And for myself, I think the big advantage of doing this, not with soloists, but with a choir, is that the structure of the music can be heard much better than with soloists. Yeah. Because soloists, even they do phrasing, etc., they have to sing it with a solo voice. With a choir, we can make the shades of color much, much bigger. And I think that is what is the big joy on this work together with these great singers.
Which is also interesting for the singers part, because sometimes we sing it as soloists.
Exactly.
This kind of repertoire, maybe not exactly Liebeslieder yet, but we will do it also.
Yeah, yes.
We do it actually in this hall.
Yes.
Blue Hall.
Okay.
We do it a lead concert format with duo, tercet, quartet, and maybe more. And for them also it's interesting, for the singers, because now they explore a different part of their singing voice.
Yes.
Do you think it's a difference in the technique?
Well, maybe it is a little bit.
I ask you this as a professor now.
Well, I think it is a difference. I experienced it maybe not as a professor, but as a singer myself. Yeah. If you are used to phrasing, or even more important, the de-phrasing of syllables as a choir singer, and then sing it solistic, it is a slightly different way, because you need to stay on the phrases much longer in the singing technique, and you would probably not release phrases as much as you do it in an ensemble. But in an ensemble it works, because if 10 tenors release a phrase, in the end there's still the sound that we need. But if you do it alone, then it is more hard to keep the phrases. I think it is a great work that the choir is doing. I'm very happy with them that we explore this together.
I think it's really interesting to have this professional choir to sing these pieces.
Very much, yeah.
Then they can bring their own perspective, but sing as a body.
Absolutely.
Klang, Körper.
Yes, and all the kinds of dynamic changes which maybe with a solistic ensemble you can make hearable, but with a choir it can be much more plastic and much more clear. Yeah. And so I
present.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm very happy about this.
What is your favorite Brahms in the program?
Oh, that is very difficult.
Include all the Liebeslieder.
Yes.
Include the quartets.
I love always very much the Am Donaustrande, which is in the Liebeslieder Walzer, number 9. I think it's just beautiful. Also number 8, Wenn so Lindt ein Auge mir. And when they go together with this special energy in the transition also of the parts, I think this is really wonderful. And I have to add that I am very, very thankful to the singers that they try to explore with me also all the different shade of the text, because even for German singers, it is quite difficult repertoire with the pronunciation, also with some kind of very old vocabulary, which you would not use in our days anymore. Yeah. And to understand the background and try to bring out these little changes in this text structure, and they do a great job. I'm really happy that they are willing to work on this.
We like to sing in German. It's maybe because I like German a lot, but because of my background. But still, the choir also, one of our first conductors was a German.
Yes, Walter Strauss. Yes.
And the choir has really training in German.
Yes.
And and we are really keen on maybe exploring some more in the next years too. But what about Schubert pieces?
Yeah, I think the Schubert pieces are very interesting because Schubert maybe was the first composer in the whole music history who composed because he felt that he needed to express something. You know, before Schubert, we can say that composers composed, it was like a craftsman. You know, some of them better craftsmen, some less good, like it is in every kind of craftsmanship. But most of them composed because they got money for this, and they were.
The concept before 18th century, the concept of musicianship is actually a craftsmanship.
Oh, absolutely.
Not an artistic way that we understand today. The romantic idea comes in the romantic period.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Schubert was one of the first, maybe the first who composed without knowing if these pieces will be performed. He knew he will do it with friends, maybe when they meet in the evening, they sing together, these male choirs. And they would use all kinds of instruments. They have a guitar, a piano. There was a lot of improvisation also involved in this.
So that's why also the text, for example, like from Zur guten Abend, or the expression is very intimate.
Absolutely.
It's for chamber music.
Yes. Usually they sang it
for the house?
It's house music, or even in pubs they were singing this, you know.
Yeah, because it says, okay, it's the last one we drink and we go home.
Exactly like this. And there even is a story when they meet once a week with the friends, and one evening Schubert came and he did not bring a piece. So his friends were angry. They said, okay, you go to next door, we give you 40 minutes and you write something, you have to come back. And he did.
It's a good way of commissioning.
Yeah.
Maybe we should try this.
It's a very nice way of commissioning. Yeah. Probably he was paid in drinks. We don't know. So this music has some improvisatory character on the one hand, but on the other hand, it has all this deepness. So I know other works which were composed for the same occasions, but not by Schubert, by other composers, which are forgotten until today. And there you see, that's fun just to sing one time or two times, but there is not too much behind.
Yeah.
But of course, with Schubert it's different because everything he wrote is so deep and so musically high level that it can be sung just with friends, but it is worth really exploring it.
And would it be wrong to say it could be sung also in a different way every time? Because
absolutely,
a lot of possibilities are.
Absolutely, and I think that is what we are trying here. We have these great tenors and basses in your choir, and especially one piece we do, the Gondelfahrer, has a very difficult text to pronounce. And we try very hard on this, and they're doing fantastic. And we try also to help ourselves with this music. in changing the tempi. But I already told them for Zur Gute Nacht, for example, when we have 3 verses, I can never predict before how this will be in the concert.
Yeah.
Maybe I will do the 3rd verse slower, maybe I do it faster. It comes in the moment. Yeah. And this is, of course, what is the kind of all music, but especially in the romantic music.
And this is why we go to concert.
Absolutely.
Because we could listen from Spotify, but this is why we need live music. That was what we suffered from in the pandemic.
Absolutely. That is so missing the moment of standing on a stage and doing music together. Yeah. And also in this place, I'm so grateful to the singers that they really want to face with me together this approach and want to be creative or creating on the spot. And we train very hard technical things, but on the other hand, we train also these musical things, which are so important and which make also the life of professional musicians interesting, because if they just reproduce in a concert what they did before, then it's boring.
Not interesting.
It's not interesting.
And imagine our life. We have around 40 concerts every year, season, many symphonic works, many a cappella projects, education, masterclass, all kinds of different repertoire, and we have to be very quick in changing mood. And I think we love you because they changed a lot of things in the last day. So it's really good. What about the Beethoven piece, which is an interesting arrangement? Huh?
It is very interesting. I think in our days, especially in our Western Europe approach to the music, everyone tries to keep to originals, etc. We forget that in the times of Romantic, or even before, it was totally normal to improvise or to do things with what you have, or even to adapt contemporary pieces. So there was no GEMA, there was no protection of pieces. So it was absolutely normal to take a piece of in that time contemporary composer and change it. And so this Beethoven piece, it's an extract of the 7th Symphony of the 2nd movement, which is absolutely famous.
One of the most famous.
One of the most famous. Everyone knows this melody. And another composer of that time, Friedrich Silcher, who was famous because he was, on one hand, collecting folk music from all Germany, and on the other hand, founding amateur choirs, which was very new by that time.
Because it's a Romantic invention.
It is a Romantic invention, and there were also here 2 options. Some choirs were founded for political reasons, but other choirs were founded, and that is the streaming Silcher was also working on, to educate the people. And this is a very typical part of education. You take a piece from a Beethoven symphony, which probably people have heard, you put a text under this, and that means much more people can perform this music. So
it's accessible.
It is accessible, and in this case we have here a male choir version. So it's always alterating solistic parts with the choir parts. And I think it is like a little treasure to discover for the audience even.
And I ask you something that I don't know really. Has the text something to do with this Beethoven symphony? Or it's just the decision of the composer?
I think it is a decision of this composer or arranger to take a text which for him fits to the music.
Because it's also about night.
Yes, this text is about night, but I think we cannot be sure what Beethoven thought behind. I mean, of course, in the Pastoral Symphony, it is clear because there he says, okay, there is a storm, there is a river, so there it is a little more obvious what he wants. But usually, I think Beethoven composed the music because of the music.
But it's absolute. So it's a commentary on Beethoven.
Yeah, probably it's like that, and it is even thinkable that another arranger would choose another text for this. Or we have a phenomenal piece. Maybe we can do next time when I meet the choir. Hopefully that happens.
I'm sure.
There is a Kyrie composition which is based on the piano sonata, the Moonshine Sonata by Beethoven. And there is a version with piano, but even an orchestrated version. So you have some absolute music of Beethoven and a Kyrie, a sacred text on this. Which is
I mean, this shows the capabilities of human voice. And I think there is many proofs in the world now, like arrangements of Gottwald. All kinds of majestic orchestral music can be sung by a 16-part choir. It is possible.
Yes, and it shows also the big variety that music provides us.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes in our days we are too strict, you know, even saying, okay, this is serious music, that is popular music.
Or this is sacred, this is secular.
Things like this. And there are walls which are not natural because in the times of that composers, their walls did not exist.
It's so funny now that you say this because 2 months ago we were sitting here with our composer colleague Erberk.
Ah, yes.
And we premiered a piece of him. And this piece was taking down the walls between Turkish folk and classical instruments and polyphonic music. And we were talking about the walls. So it's maybe it's a 21st century thing that we come back to this understanding.
I think so. Yeah, I hope that we can cut down walls. I mean, not only in musical ways, in all human ways, of course. But maybe it is one of our major tasks in our days as conductors or people who put together programs like you do, to show both sides, you know, to show a classical approach, but to show also a mixture. Maybe that is also why you and me thought to add the premiere of a Turkish composer.
So how do you feel, as the last question, to premiere a Turkish piece?
Well, at first I have to say I feel very proud that I may do that.
Of course.
And I try, when I have the privilege to travel somewhere and work in other countries, to learn about the music of these countries. Yeah. And having a first performance of a Turkish composer in this program is very, very special for me. And I think that on the first glance, it looks very far away to combine this. But on the second glance, it's absolutely natural to do this.
It is very romantic.
The idea of the text and even of some parts of the composition are kind of romantic. And the meaning of the text, so that all this loving and experience we have in our life, all these days, so it's called gün olur, so all the days we have, in the end, it somehow ends in a relievement. Yeah. And all the strong kinds of love, or whatever we have before, it goes to the same point. And that is what we have in all these romantic pieces, but that is what we also have in this Turkish composition.
Yeah, so for those who hear it for the first time, it's the text by Orhan Veli.
Yes.
Composed by Mesruh Savaş. It is one of the award-winning pieces of our competition.
Yes.
And the poem everybody knows. Gün olur, alır başımı giderim. We all know it. So it's also interesting for the audience to listen to the musical setting of this poem.
And for me, it is always very interesting to experience the sound of a choir when he sings in his own language.
It changes, right?
Yeah, exactly, because every kind of natural language people speak as their native language has an influence on the position of the sound. I mean, a Swedish choir sounds usually very different to a German or a Turkish or even a Russian or South American choir, because the way the pronunciation of your natural language is changes automatically a sound. And having such a fantastic professional choir who is able to go into these sound changes, even when we sing French, we have the two French compositions where there is a totally different way of pronunciation. Yeah. And this makes this work so exciting and so great.
Yeah. So I'm happy you are here with such a interesting repertoire, and I hope you enjoy your time. But you look like you're enjoying.
I do very much, and I can only thank you again for this prestigious invitation.
Yeah,
it's a big pleasure.
Thank you for being here. We will have a fantastic concert on Saturday.
Thank you.
And we hope you come again.
Thank you.